Hi everyone. I'd like to take some time to discuss a feature that we are making available in 8.3 and in selective hotfixes for customers who wish to use the feature or see it in operation before we deploy it in 8.3. Simply put, this is an extension to the current Marimba technology to support and facilitate Marimba operations over the internet. In particular, there is a focus on automatic HTTP and HTTPS protocol switching. To give you some context, as customers, you are all aware of the ability to deploy content as in updates or full downloads within an internal network using a system of servers in a mirror farm, for example, behind a load balancer. In such a scenario, the load balancer becomes the central point of communication for all endpoints that wish to download packages or patches. In this situation, the load balancer is not available outside the network. So for customers who wish to deploy Marimba updates over the internet for endpoints that are not located in the network, usually the practice is to have a reverse proxy set up, which will be in a DMZ and also have access to the load balancer, allowing endpoints to use the reverse proxy as a conduit for receiving updates. There are some challenges involved in this approach. One challenge is the need to switch URLs whenever the endpoints have to move in and out of the network. To a certain extent, customers can address this by having automatic hostname resolution, where inside the network, the hostname in the URLs points to the load balancer, and outside the network, it should resort to a secure reverse proxy. However, this still doesn't solve the problem of having HTTPS-based communication when connecting to the reverse proxy, and to have an HTTP-based communication when you're inside the network and directly contacting the load balancer. For this purpose, we have now introduced a new feature in the 8.3 release. By virtue of this feature, the tuner should automatically be able to switch from HTTP to HTTPS and vice versa, depending on the response from the server it is currently connecting to. I'd like to emphasize the automatic nature of this. As long as the customer has a configuration set up in place which can have the tuner automatically resolve the URL to the correct server based on whether it is inside or outside the company network, Marimba will take care of the switching between HTTPS for the secure reverse proxy and HTTP for internal load balancers. A short demo should give you some idea of how this feature will work. As you can see here, you can consider this an example of a typical internal company network. Your endpoints use the URL of a load balancer in order to receive policy updates. In this scenario, the expectation is that with this feature, your endpoints will continue to use the same settings inside the company network, and it then just becomes a matter of how it should behave when the endpoints are outside the company network. Now, in a scenario where your endpoints are outside the network and you as customers have been able to configure an automatic hostname resolution, your endpoints will be expected to communicate only over HTTPS with the secure reverse proxy. And ordinarily, this would be a problem for your endpoints, since your URLs for your policy and patches would be pointing to an HTTP-based server. However, with the 8.3 release, this should no longer be a problem because the policy service and patch service, well, the complete tuner itself has now become capable of understanding that the server that it is being connecting to is not an HTTP, but rather an HTTPS enabled server. It switches over automatically and brings down updates. You will note that aside from the requirement for automatic hostname resolution, there is no extra configuration required. You will not be expected to do any switching of URLs as long as the host names set in your current Marimba deployments can be resolved between the load balancer and your secure reverse proxy as required. That concludes our demonstration of this feature. We hope to have made clear the ease that this will introduce for customers who wish to support Marimba updates over the internet, with the additional requirement of having a secure access outside the internet and typical non-secured access within the network. Thank you and have a nice day.